Hello, welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage, on what hopefully is the last wet day for a little while, if you believe the weather. So it's a great inside day, and today I need to strip this brand new rebuilt Turbo 400. Clearly it's not. I don't know the story completely, but originally I was asked to just take a look to see what was done when it was rebuilt. It's been a while, but no question it's been messed with. Some of the pan bolts don't match, the pump bolts don't match. Going off the ID tag on the side of it, it is a 1975 CM code. So I looked it up, and that's one of the years that I can actually find information for online. CM would be from 74 to 76, is a Series 30 mobile home chassis. Series 30, that's the clue. That's 10,000 GVW, not a 475. That would be a CL from 74 to 76. Again, this information I gather online. People still hear motorhome, Turbo 400, and they go right to 475. So once again, if it doesn't have 19.5-inch wheels and a 14,000 GVW tag, it's not a 475. If that's what you're looking for, just because it has a brake drum in the back, this is not a brake drum transmission, at least the way it showed up here. But just because it has a brake drum, still a 50-50 chance. If it was in a Series 30 chassis, it's not a 475. So spread that around. The internet is really good at spreading misinformation. This is fact as I know it, and I've done a lot of research and never seen anything different, but hey, things change. But today, we can only focus on what's in front of us. This is a 1975, like I mentioned, one of the first years they went from a metal vent to a plastic vent. It's metric, or at least as metric as the Turbo 400 ever got. Linkage bolt, mount bolts, speedometer bolt. That's about it. Again, I would have loved to have sat in the meetings when they decided they were just going to do a couple things and leave everything else, the way it was. It had cruise control, early crude cruise control, which coincides with probably a mobile home chassis. That's not hard to believe. I already removed the bolt-on yoke. I had to use a hammer and a punch to carefully beat it off there. That's how long it's been married to the transmission. So the seal and everything looks original. I'll go around with the camera one time, and then before I turn the camera on and we strip it with the camera rolling, I'm going to take all the junk off that is just, nobody wants to see that. I'm going to take the speedometer out. I'm going to take the tail housing off. All but a couple pan bolts. I will take the pump bolts off. It does have an aftermarket modulator at some point. It's a red stripe gold unit, so that's good. I got to take the cool lines off and the dipsticks all stove up, and let me get it to the point where we can actually take it apart and see what it's made of and see if it was actually rebuilt at all. Again, my hunch is they might have taken the pump out and a couple drums and thrown some clutches in it. But we're going to find out. So here's a look at this shining example of a rebuilt transmission. Again, grease all over everything. The only way for this engine blow-by to get on the pan and everything, this oil came from up front, and it would have had to go a few miles, I'm thinking. That's the yoke I had to smash off, and there's 3 or 4 quarts of dark red, stanky fluid. It stinks. It's reddish, but there's a cruise control rig that I've seen before. It could be aftermarket cruise control. They used to have some, J.C. Whitney add-ons. This is the clean side, which kind of coincides with most motorhomes. They don't have a lot of miles on them. If you find a motorhome with 80 to 100,000 miles, that's a lot. Typically, they're 50,000 miles or less. So they are good candidates if you can find them. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that this will have 8 pump bolts. See, 75, transition year. It's just a gut feeling. I don't think it'll have any other good parts in it, but it might be an 8-bolt case. I think I mentioned, but I'll do it again. This is the beginnings of the HD case. It's not marked HD, but HD was just all about the aluminum cover and the strut rods that came down from the motor mounts to prevent the case from twisting with the transfer case hanging off the back. There was a long rod that would go on a 4-wheel drive, down to the transfer case on the side of it, on the passenger side. That is the HD case. If you see a Turbo 400 that says HD on it, once again, it's just all about the casting. Nothing to do with the internals. Another internet rumor that catches fire and everybody's has an HD transmission and they want $1 zillion for it. It's a stock Turbo 400 with a beefed up case. I just twisted off the cool lines. 75 was one of the first years for the top hat seal. I call it a top hat. It looks like a little mini top hat that a frog would wear. So this has that. Same tips I always give when working on a transmission that looks pretty dry is before I attempt to remove the tail housing bolts, you got to smack them with a hammer and that will free them up. Much less likely to pull the threads out when you go to move it. But if they don't move immediately, I will smack some more, get some penetrating oil, something. And the rear seal, now is the time. I've broken all the tail housing bolts loose, tightened 2 of them back up. And starting at the top, break the seal loose, and now I will take my seal remover and pop it out. It's already starting to move. I did not smack anything underneath because that oil sits on that all the time. If you destroy the bottom of the tail housing, you're much more likely to have a leak. Whereas the top is dry, unless you're underway, but all in all, less likely to have a leak. That's the way I do it anyway. My first thoughts is, oh my God, this thing is toast. Man, I can't wait to see what we find inside. God awful. Not only is, for instance, the governor cover gasket baked on, look at the rust. Oh my God. Unreal. This ought to be fun. All right, are we ready? Let's find out what lies inside. I always leave one bolt to catch the pan when I hammer it off. I don't even know if you can see my face. People like to comment on my parts bin. I was at a yard sale. I paid $2 for a whole. The guy said he cooked fried chicken in it. It has a big pan and the big tray with holes in it, which makes an excellent parts container. That wasn't much of a struggle. Yum! You should smell the pleasing aroma. Yucky. I see signs of rust already. Somebody did put washers on the space on the filter bolt. That's something I do to keep the filter straight. It has the the high performance filter. That's a bonus, right? Yuck. Those seals are hard as a rock. Just one. Let's see how hard the pump's gonna come out. I always forget to spin this back when I pull it off. So. Well, oops, she's coming right out, maybe. Yep. She's out. We'll strip the individual pieces here in a minute. Let's just take a look at what we're dealing with. Metal rings. Nothing alarming there really, except for the black oil. Really need that. Look, the old sock made an appearance. Forward drum. Oh my gosh. Woo, baby. We'll bust that apart in a minute, but there's some damage going on in there. Dang. Hands are slippery already. Take my hook. Oh my God. There's a direct drum. Looks like it's been in a coal mine. Squeaky sprag, which would be a roller clutch. It did have the brass brush washer on the forward. Yeah, nothing to see there. Let's look at the intermediate clutches. Stock snap ring. Hey, look, high performance. Borg Warner, red. They said it had red clutches in it. Well, I found them on the intermediate. You know what? We gotta see what's in here while we're right here. I guess we don't need to take the pistons out. We'll just see what's going on in the drums. Oh my God! I think it caught fire. Woo, buddy. Had the wave plate in it. My God. Between the rust. Oh, the retainer's all beat down too. Springs. Probably trying to hammer the drums in. Let me, I'll do it in front of you. Hope you can see. I haven't even checked my camera angle. But wow. Whew. Again, I wish you were here to enjoy the smell. That's junk. That ain't worth cleaning. Whoa. Input shaft bouncing around. I can almost push the input shaft out by hand. She's seen some heat. Ooh, buddy. That is some quality stuff right there. Dang. Well, we got to keep going. Let's rip into the valve body, see what we find here. The flaw, the good and the bad of the Turbo 400 is you have to remove the valve body to go any deeper in the transmission. I like to start with the 1/4 inch bolts because that's spring loaded right there and it can bend these if you save those for last. Does it ever happen? Eh, probably not, but theory, you know how theories go. This oil is nasty. See that spring action? This is when you gotta maneuver your bucket a little bit. You're gonna get a rush of oil. Gently pry up on the governor pipes, which pretty much everything in this transmission is junk. I think we might be able to save the case. You got a green stripe valve body gasket, which is absolutely stuck to the valve body, so that's not fresh. For sure. Got an aftermarket separator plate. These bolts are not stock here. Those have been changed. Come on, baby. baked. Baked on. This probably won't come off. Yeah, maybe. I hate when they rip. Oh, look at that, she's coming. Ooh, baby. We have a full complement of check balls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All 6. What a mess. I don't like using the impact on the center support bolt. I like to get a feel for what's happening. Too tight. Guess I'll take it all the way out. And while in this position, let's release the rear servo because the oil's going to want to come shooting out of it. Again, I do cross hatch, cross pattern. The last two do all the work. Try not to put too much stress on it. Gross, as usual. That appears to be all stock. I don't have a good rag. All right, here comes the flow of oil. Now we can wrestle out the snap ring. We'll try these two first. See what position she's in. They have a tendency to move into unfavorable spots. So if you haven't had the governor out already, now's the time to remember it before you break the gear. When you pull out the whole unit, you will break the gear. Have a spot to land it. Put a rag on the floor to catch the oil, because she's gonna drip. Get the stock thrust washer and selective washer for the case, threading ring, rear band. Ooh, heavy duty. Check it out, Sonex. See, somebody has been in here. But man, do things go wrong. Let's just take a peek at the lower unit. I guess we'll start here. Always make sure everything works. It has not been dual fed. Still has all the iron rings. Gotta believe this stuff's probably never been out. The shell of the rear bearing always sticks to the back of the center support every time. I like to catch it all at once. Whew. Nasty. Not a TH400. Oh, I forgot to look how many pump bolts we had. 8 bolts. So I got that part right. And speaking of oddities, 1975, a transition year. It has metric mount bolts. It has a metric linkage bolt. Into the case, it appeared to be a factory 5/16 course bolt. That should be metric, but again, transition years, you never know. You never know. I just look at the plans there. That I will eventually take out the output shaft, but I just want to make sure nothing's wiped out here. Everything here looks nasty, but usable. Whew, what a mess. So what we have here is a terrible mess that has tainted the air in my shop for a good long time. The forward and direct drum, you can clean them out. Everything here could be cleaned out. But this is one of those transmissions where there's certainly no free lunch. I mean, every control, the valve body, which has had water in it, is also full of black, gritty, oiled mung from the clutches burning up. Got a good case. The lower unit's fine. Hopefully saved the pump. I haven't had it apart, but I should have done that too, but it is probably okay. And I will before I talk to the guy that owns this mess. He bought it being told it had high performance red clutches and stuff in it. And it does have a Sonex band that's still usable. Still read the writing on it. And the intermediate clutches are still there and usable. That's about it. And clearly it's not, it's been rebuilt, but it's been a while. So that's that. I'll send the video to them after I pop the pump apart. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this journey. What did Forrest Gump say? You know, life is like a box of chocolates. So are transmissions. It looked pretty promising on the outside, you know, as far as grease and whatnot. So anyway, that's that. Moving on. Have a great day. Well, I couldn't leave you hanging. Sometimes I do this. I say goodbye and then come back for more. The wear surfaces on the pump are adequate. The gears are starting to show a few signs of wear, but probably from the debris they've been processing. But the pump body itself will live another day. And so will I, and hope you do too.